Hi, sorry, I was in the metaverse. Welcome back to the the Gaming Matters Academy. This is the second session of the day. My name is Jasper Donat. I am the CEO of Branded, with the producers of the Matters series events, which includes Gaming Matters, Music Matters, Sports Matters, Marketing Matters. If you were with us this morning, you've heard this bit. But if you're fresh watching, join us this afternoon, thank you so much for joining. For those of you who don't know, Gaming Matters is actually the second longest running gaming conference in Asia, and we're second only to the Tokyo Game Show, which is massive. So we're quite proud of that. We've been running since 2012. In 2020, we went virtual like everyone else in the world. Last year, we went hybrid in 2021. We've had over 30,000 viewers taking part live and online. And as mentioned this morning, and I'm going to say it again, we are absolutely delighted, thrilled, and excited to announce that All That Matters is back in Singapore in September. There's the dates, 26th to 20th September. Get it in your diaries. We'd love to see you. That's when we bring you all together: gaming, music, sport, marketing, digital. And we're going to be bringing the metaverse and Web3 and NFTs. And the theme this year is All That Matters. Get it? So looking forward to seeing everyone in September. Back to gaming, and in the time since our first Gaming Matters event in 2012, the gaming industry has literally exploded worldwide. But there's still very little information about the industry itself and how it works, who's who, and how to succeed in a career. One of the conversations we had this morning was around whether gaming is seen as a credible industry, a credible career in this part of the world. So step forward, the Gaming Matters Academy. It's a series of virtual events that we've designed to help build a foundation for anyone interested in the gaming business to learn and upskill through the mentorship and knowledge sharing of global industry icons who also happen to be our friends. So you may see a lot of smiling going on this afternoon. It is the business of gaming taught by the gaming business. The Academy is the third in our Learning Matters series, and follows hot on the heels of our Music Academy, which I may have mentioned by mistake, and our Sports Matters Academy, which combined have done over 100,000 views. Throughout the Gaming Matters Academy, which we've obviously launched today, we're going to be looking at we're going to be drilling down deep into other subjects. So event production, promotion, and distribution. So how to produce an event, how to build a community and a fan base if you're a gamer, a gaming company, a team, understanding data, research matters, how to work with brands and sponsors. Now, we're going to be talking a bit about that later this afternoon as well, but we're going to be doing a whole session on brands. Legal matters, how to make sure you're inside the law. What rights do you have? Health matters. We want to look at gamers as athletes and some of the mental health and physical health issues that arise from gaming. And we're going to be looking deep into the metaverse, NFTs, and what have you. And again, we'll be talking a lot about that today, but we also have a separate session all about the metaverse. But back to today, we are really starting from the beginning. We want to understand who's who, what's what in gaming and esports, and we're doing the two sessions. This morning, we heard from Twitch, ESL, and the Global Esports Federation, a fantastic session. And in a moment, we're going to meet with APAC, Dentsu, and Activision Blizzard. This morning, if I find my notes, we talked about the power of community and engagement over views. We talked about the fact working in gaming every day is new. I mean, it was amazing talking about this credibility gap, but then everything is so exciting about gaming right now. So hopefully we can help build a bridge there. We talked about getting noticed, and we talked about getting experience out there, and ESL we're talking about having quite a lot of jobs going, so if anyone's looking to get into the industry. So but the content is virtual. It's clearly live because I got the name of the event wrong, and it's fireside. So please, we want this to be interactive. Please, for you out there, get your questions in. We've got three amazing speakers with you today, and if you want to talk to them, if you want to ask them questions, please do. After the session, we've also got a private chat where we can all go. We've got a limited number of you can join, but if you want to meet the speakers and talk to them in a smaller environment, then you just go back into the website, click on the link, and you can come and meet them for about 20 minutes, half an hour. So do join up, but it's first come, first served on that. In a minute, I'm going to introduce you to our speakers. But for now, you will have noticed that the Gaming Matters Academy is free to attend, and that is 100% thanks to our wonderful sponsors and partners. So I want to personally thank our friends at Twitch, our friends at Singtel, and our friends at the Global Esports Federation for making this possible. And finally, thank you for joining. Please enjoy, please learn, please get your questions in, ask away, and I'll have them fed to me. So on with the show. It's time to level up. I'm going to introduce you to 3 black t-shirts, unless they've got changed. There you go. If you want to work in gaming, you have to wear a black t-shirt. That's clearly rule number 1. We're going to be, in a moment, we're going to chat with Mike from APAC and Yoshi from Dentsu. But first, we're going to say hello to Paul Chen from Activision Blizzard. By the way, all these 3 people have got the coolest jobs, as well as the 3 we interviewed this morning. So we've got the guy with the games, Paul Chen. Please, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you? What do you do for a living? What do your family think you do for a living?
Sure. Thanks, Jasper. And thank you again for inviting me to attend this. And I'm really happy to be here. So first of all, hello, everybody. My name is Paul Chen. I am the head of strategy and business development for Activision Blizzard in APAC. And I actually am based in Taiwan. I'm originally Taiwanese. And I actually grew up in the United States. My parents moved to the United States when I was quite young. What I do right now for Activision Blizzard is actually I am responsible for all the market strategy within APAC, as well as developing new business partnerships, any sort of new business developments as it relates to looking at new trends and so forth. And what my family know, they know what I do actually, but it's very interesting when you say, is this really a career? Because when I first started in the video game industry, my parents were like, is this a really viable career? Are you sure you want to get into this? Is this something that is really going to have potential? Because my father's a doctor, and obviously my parents wanted me to be a doctor as well. And so, the traditional Asian parent, either doctor, lawyer, or engineer or something like that, was not something that I could get into. But I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to get into gaming about 20 years ago. I started my career in 1998 in the United States, and fortunately over the course of time, through several different stints at different companies, ended up at Activision Blizzard. And so I'm very happy to be with you guys today.
That's fantastic. We'll have to call you Dr. Chen from here. But it's a very real. I mean, we talked about it this morning. We talked about it at our Sports Matters Academy as well, where people who want to get a career in the sports industry, same as the gaming industry, certainly in this part of the world, can struggle because their families just don't think it's credible. And it's not a cliche to say, well, go and be a doctor or an accountant. It's you've said it yourself, right? So anyway, so let's for anyone who may have landed on the planet from Mars this morning, tell us a little bit more about Activision Blizzard, because you really are, you're the guy with the games, right? And you really have got some amazing titles. Can you tell us a little bit about your titles and throw out some silly numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like you said, just to kind of boil it down to very simple terms for people that may not have known who Activision Blizzard is. And I think a lot of people still don't know, because of the fact that many people know Activision and many people know Blizzard, but they actually don't know that Activision Blizzard actually owns 3 kind of separate game studios. So the first one is Activision. And most people know Activision because of console games like Call of Duty or Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And then on the Blizzard side, we own, obviously, and operate World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Hearthstone, which are mainly PC games. And then lastly, most people do not know this, but we actually own a game company called King, which makes Candy Crush, Bubble Witch, and some of these other casual mobile titles. So we have a very, very wide spectrum of games. We actually have a very large community of gamers. We have 5 key portfolio franchises that are over $1 billion of revenue every year. Those are Call of Duty, Warcraft, Overwatch, Candy Crush, and Diablo. And so, these are kind of the 5 core pillars of our product portfolio. But also, what people don't know is our company has over 30 years of history, where we have like archives of games that have been released in the past, but people may have forgotten about, like Guitar Hero, Skylanders, Geometry Wars. And these are all titles kind of that we own and IPs that we have that we can bring back at any point in time. But we do focus on our core franchise that I named earlier.
Can you bring back Pong?
Well, Pong was one of ours, but that would be fantastic. When it comes to numbers, like you had asked, I mean, the key metric is that we have over 120 million monthly active users. So we're one of the largest game companies, obviously, and that's spread across all our different games. So every different game has kind of like various different levels of active user bases. And so, across all of them, we actually have a very large community that we can cross leverage.
It's almost like talking to Blofeld in James Bond. You should have a big white fluffy cat in the crook of your arm. And, okay. Just one more question about yourself. What was your? Mine was Pong. What was your first game?
Yeah, Pong was actually one of my first games, but then alongside that, I remember, very early days, Space Invaders, obviously, that was one of the big ones. But I think that the games that actually really kind of I identify myself the most with is Street Fighter. That's one of like my key ones. And then when you think about gaming and before I even got into the industry, the game that actually really kind of drew me in for the most part was Final Fantasy VII. That was a game that I played from front to end on PlayStation 1 and didn't sleep for like 3 days. It was one of those epic moments that really kind of captured my, imagination and really brought me into wanting to be involved in gaming.
Now when we have all the three of you together, we're going to talk about careers and working in the game industry. But how are you working with the gamers and the influencers, people that are tuning in today and watching this session? Obviously they play your games, but is there any other interaction beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing about Activision Blizzard is we are very, very focused on the community. And when we talk about community, we talk about basically a lot of different aspects of the community. So that's people that play, which we define as players. And then there are also fans, because there are actually people that don't play the games but love our brands. And we interact with them from the standpoint of merchandise. We have like cinematics and, animated videos, storytelling that we kind of embed into our game titles. And a lot of people simply watch those. They don't really play our games for the most part. And so we kind of think of those communities as well as, the esports players and influencers, which we then engage with on a deeper level because of the fact that we want them to be involved in our game and how we activate each new content beat. If there's a new expansion or a new patch coming up, we get them involved so that they can also help us to promote it and get people excited about it. The key thing for us when we engage with people within the community is that we always want something that is organic. And when we work with influencers and pro players, as an example, if it's a title that's esports related or even a title that's non-esports related, we really want them to be fans of the game and have played the game. We don't really go to players that just, are there because they have a massive following and don't really resonate directly with the game or love the game from the standpoint. So it's really important to us for that, kind of deep passion and love for the title.
Fantastic. So Paul, you're going to be whisked off into a virtual backroom. We're going to see you in a minute. Up next, we have Mike from the metaverse, Mike McCabe. He's done it. He's done. You can prove that we are live. You can prove that we're live. He's gone from a black t-shirt to green.
To green and a little crumpled as well. So it's fresh out the bottom of the drawer.
Who on earth do you work for, Mike? What Mike McCabe, tell us a little bit. No, you changed your t-shirt. I'm now wondering what sounds wrong, doesn't it? I'm wondering what Yoshi's wearing. But Mike, who are you? Where are you? You work for Epic Games. Now, tell us what you do for Epic as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the invitation. It's lovely to be part of this, Jasper, and get an opportunity to share some of our experiences. So, yes, as you say, I work for Epic Games. Epic Games probably most known for Fortnite, but we run another couple of live service games as well in the form of Rocket League and Fall Guys. And we also have a storefront of the Epic Games store, but we're a little different in that we're half a technology company in building engines, which are the foundation of video games for many many developers and publishers, as well as ourselves, but also for entertainment. And so building that technology layer, which helps deliver entertainment, whether it be games or movies, or TV, or even added into sporting events as well. So we have part of the company that's very technology focused, and then the rest of the company that's very games focused. And the part that I work for is within our publishing organization, although I've spent time in previous roles with other companies on the studio side, so building games. But at the moment, I'm focused on marketing games, and really bringing the right content, the right experiences to players all around the world. And so my focus is international, which is the players in Latin America, across EMEA and Asia Pacific as well.
You've got one of those jobs that everyone wants, right? And so look, we're gonna talk with you about a lot about the metaverse. There is so much chat at the moment about the metaverse, but let's take a big step back on this. What is the metaverse? What's the definition of the metaverse, and what's powering it?
So there's a million definitions that are out there, but the way we look at it is it's a seamless digital social world where millions of people can experience whatever experience they want to build or share with their friends. And so for us, it's an engaging platform where you can be whoever you want and you can do whatever you want as well. And so I think many organizations, ourselves included, are taking steps towards trying to make that a reality. And it's a Herculean task to get there. But we're starting to see some of the initial technologies come into play, which are making it a reality, and enabling us to have those experiences and share those with our friends and seamlessly move from one experience to another. So at the foundation of it is technology. There's also at the foundation of it some things that aren't resolved yet, which are not as exciting and certainly not as flashy. And that's things like policy. We need policies to make the metaverse work, and that's something that is still being determined. Just as back in the day, we needed to have policies to power the internet and to be able to support interoperability between websites and the technologies that underlie those. So there's still a lot of work to do, but it's incredibly exciting. And the thing that I think makes me most excited about it is the reliance on users generating that content and the experiences, and us being able to facilitate that is, I think, a real step change from where we've been in the past, to really opening up that creativity that we've all got an element of creativity. And look, we're not all going to be able to stream and cast because we don't all have those personalities. But within the gaming industry, there's so many different functions that you can fulfill. And if you have creativity, if you have passion for it, then there's always an opportunity to be part of this incredibly exciting industry.
And same question I asked to Paul. How are you working with? I said, clearly gamers and influencers are on the platform, but is there a deeper relationship you have with them, helping them build their own metaverses, or how do you work with gamers and influencers?
Yeah, there's a whole variety of different relationships. The first one, like the easiest one, is just the community, of which I'm part of that community. I play as much as anyone. And just as a player, I have input into the direction of the product and where we go, what works, what doesn't work. And we're constantly analyzing the data to see what are the right behaviors that we want to encourage. How do we get there? But to your point about influencers, we have an incredible relationship with creators all around the world, because they're such an incredibly powerful tool to help spread our message and bring these experiences to life. And so we have supporter creator programs where we can actually share revenue with those creators that are helping to market the experiences. But to your last question around actually creating in-game content, yeah, whether it be with Fortnite Creative or other products in the industry like Roblox, where those experiences are being created by people at home or small businesses that are now spinning up to create those experiences, or they're building experiences for brands where a brand wants to have a representation in a game like Fortnite to bring it to life. So we have a whole different range of tiered relationships with all of those different partners, but they're all integral to bringing these experiences to life and helping aid the discovery of them.
A final question to you before we meet Yoshi. How can, I mean, I organize events, but how can music artists or brands or people, you see these things about concerts and stuff, and you haven't got half an hour to answer this because I know you and I can talk about this forever, but how can non-endemic artists or brands or people or events participate or engage in the metaverse?
I think with the creative tools that we're bringing on stream, we've achieved some really interesting successes there with, it started with Travis Scott probably being the biggest one that we did right at the beginning. But as the technology has evolved, it's opened up more and more to bring those tools that we had as proprietary tools that were held really close, that we only had in game and that only our first party developers were using. But every month now, those basically get opened up so we can let other people play with them. And so we still have a few of them that we need to basically release to build them to a point where they can be leveraged by you and me building an event or building an online concert. And that's the first step. The second is really just making sure that we can go back and solve all of those policy and rights conversations, because that's the next one. I know it's not the most exciting, but definitely one that needs to be solved as well. But over the course of the last 12 months, we've released so much more of the technology that was held as a developer only capability and opened that up to anybody who wants to access it. And that will just accelerate over the months to come.
Fantastic. So, Mike, we're going to whisk you into the back room. Before we meet Yoshi, please do get your questions in for Paul, Mike, and Yoshi. We're going to have them all together. Now, has Yoshi changed his T-shirt? No, he's kept in the black T-shirt. He's in the black hoodie. The man in the hoodie. Yep. Yoshi, welcome to the Gaming Matters Academy. Thank you so much for joining us. The Dentsu dude with the dollars, we're calling you. So Yoshi, I know who you are, but please, for the benefit of anyone who's watching this, please let us know who are you, where are you, and what do you do for a living?
Yep. So my name is Yoshi Nakano. Thanks, Jasper, for having me. And I'm based in Tokyo, Japan, in a company called Dentsu Inc. And the job that I do is I actually don't really know, right? It's changing. Like, in the way of the old way of saying it was the advertising company, like advertising agency. We could call ourselves like media agency or creative agency. But with this emerge of these games, right? I mean, a lot of things are changing. I used to be making TV commercials, street billboards. It was fun and simple and dynamic, right? You create a big, cool TV commercial and people get excited. But like, time is whole different, right? Like, everybody's excited with games, entertainment, music, right? They're on the games, right? Now, like, can I bring a TV commercial onto the game? No, right? It's different. Like, so now I need to find a way to connect the game, right? Like, those kids playing game, they're not the audience. They're like fans, or it's more like a community. They're gathering there for fun, like meeting friends or just enjoying their time, right? We can't just come out there and say, hey, this is a TV commercial you have to see. So now I need to understand more about community or culture right? In order to do my job. So it's a whole different thing. I'm kind of learning, and Mike, Paul, like they are creating all this joy to the kids. I have children too. They are just like getting excited about the games, right? It's tremendous amount of joy they're creating. My job is to be trying to find a way to be a part of them, not to destroy anything, but to support and invite a brand into their community. Yeah, that's what I do for a living, I think, Jasper.
And you work with, I mean, you do work with brands, you work with gaming IP, you bring them together?
Yes. I do that too. Yes, like as my role in Japan, like I do marketing agency work as half of my role. Another half is more about investing into the entertainment. Like in Japan, I do like our division invest into anime titles or game competitions or esports competition. Like one of the way that I make half of my salary is to sort of invest into and create the esports culture in Japan by sort of investing into esports championship. So that is sort of the IP that I work for, like combining that IP with the brand, or combining those anime IP with the brand, or oh, I wish Mike and Paul could speak about that later too. But like they have a like tremendous like wonderful anime collaboration, which I'm really into, right? Like those are the things that I like to sort of plan and bring to the world. Yep.
And what kind of brands do, I mean, what kind of brands do Dentsu as the agency work with? In gaming?
Yeah, like there are many kinds of different brands, but like auto brands or FMCG, like a lot of brands, but like they all have a different story along with it. Like in the very, very simple way of saying, gaming is a good way to connect to the young audiences that they no longer can reach through TV or whatnot, right? That's the very simple way of identifying this as an opportunity, right? A way to access to the youth. But the story can be a whole different, right? So the story I need to bring on, like let's say for the automobile brand, right? We need not only to reach to the young audience, but like get them excited about the joy of driving or joy of possessing a car, which young audience is a little bit far part of nowadays, right? How can we combine that with the gaming experience? So it's sort of like all different creative or storytelling work that we need to design for each different brands. But yeah, many different brands, yes.
And are you working with any individual gamers or influencers? Do you represent any gamers or influencers, or do you work with any?
I don't particularly represent any particular game title. I wish to, but like Mike and Paul, like they represent like the huge gaming company. So like my job is to sort of identify an attractive space, right? And then bring it as a proposal to them and see if that's something that's like win, 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 right? It's like win for the brand, of course, for my job, but win for the fans, win for the community, and win for the game developer itself. So yeah, I guess that's the challenge that I'm facing. So yeah.
Okay, and you know, when we're talking about, I mean, it's such an important relationship between brands and the games, whether it's the games themselves, the gamers, the influencers, the events, the leagues, and the teams. I mean, there's some, but it's a huge growth industry right now. I mean, so many brands are just starting to get into gaming. But how would you, as Dentsu, how would you measure success? What makes a successful relationship with a brand?
Well, like in terms of like the real marketing agency point of view, like it need to be converted into their KPI and thing like that. But I think at this stage, like let them jump off from the cliff, I guess. Like I think it was Paul mentioning about like Asian parents, like, you know, like doctor, accountants, or right? lawyer, right? Like I was growing up in an environment where my parents were saying don't play games, or I was only allowed to play 30 minutes in a week, right? Only Wednesday, 30 minutes. That was a precious 30 minutes, right? So still in a generation where gaming is like against the education, or gaming is something like that pulls the kids away from like the healthy whatnot, right? But it is really creating a lot of joys. I mean, no doubt about it, and people see it. And this sense of culture is different from country to country. You know, U.S. is different, Korea is different, Japan is different. Japan is like surprisingly more about a culture that's very conservative. People think gaming is still like not good for kids, but it is actually good for kids, right? So we need to convert their idea, because decision makers are quite in upper generation, not the kids, right? So I guess that's what I need to just do, and then I think people enjoy after they jump off. They really enjoy. Yeah.
And then I get final question, and then we're going to get everyone back together. But again, lots of conversation about the metaverse. Is that really exciting for brands?
I think it is. For me, like this is my sense, but it's like fun to explore something new, right? Like we get to learn things, and for brands, it's interesting because it seems like you get to do more, you get to express more, you get to engage more with the audiences, more, not just showing this like TV ad on the TV screen, but you can directly, not just on the chat, but more like almost physically meeting, right? So it seems like there's more to do. But again, right, like metaverse is always connected to some very deep sense of culture. So that is also, I wouldn't say risk, but it's something that we need to really learn and understand the culture, or we won't be able to really do anything. So yeah, we need to explore.
But it's exciting and fun. So Yoshi, thank you so much for joining us. Now we're going to be joined by a black T-shirt and a green T-shirt. Now I think have I got that right? Where's Paul? Oh, there we go.
I didn't change.
So it's the old Sesame Street. One of these kids is doing his own thing, Mike. So that was a nice introduction to all of you, and three very different roles, but very, very cool within and very important roles within the gaming industry, and taking the academy. And we touched on credibility for careers in gaming and stuff, but Paul, let's start with you on that again. So aside to the credibility, what remains the largest challenges to a successful career in gaming? It doesn't have to be in Asia, anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges is actually breaking in. I mean, it's like knowing how to start and knowing how to get started, because for me, I kind of stumbled into it. I was fortunate to be able to take on in my early days. I was not in the gaming industry. I was actually in the telecom business, and I stumbled into a sales and marketing job for a game company. But many people that have actually reached out to me, or I've run across throughout my career, have always asked about how do you break into gaming. And I think that the key is really just, finding that opportunity, entry level if possible, and breaking in is the biggest challenge in my opinion.
Mike, welcome back.
No worries. And I agree with Paul. I think the same thing. And I had the same experience. My degree was in environmental engineering. That's what I was going to do. I was definitely not smart enough to be a doctor, so Paul's way ahead of me on that one. I didn't have the aptitude for it, never mind anything else. But I was passionate about gaming, and the only way I could be passionate about gaming was by playing games, because there weren't opportunities then. And I agree. I have the same question very, very often. But I think that it's almost a little easier now, because there are other ways that you can be more immersed into our industry, other than just being like I was, a fan or a player, and actually, be part of the industry, whether it be as a competitor in esports tournaments, or as somebody who's writing editorial, somebody who is streaming, somebody who's building community. And all of those things are ways in. And I know from our ongoing recruiting, there's so many people that have been working in other industries that have been adjacent to ours, but they've built out that experience, and they are able to demonstrate that and say, yeah, okay, I've not worked for Activision Blizzard, or I've not worked for Epic or EA or any of the big brands, but I've been streaming and I've been doing this and I've built this community, and I'm passionate about your game. And I think the number one thing that we all always want to see is passion, because that's why Paul and I ended up in this industry, because we're passionate about the subject matter. And I've even left the industry and done something else. And I went and worked at Nike for 4 years because I wanted to see how a grown-up brand worked in the world. But it was too slow. I loved it. I loved my time there, but it moved at a pace that wasn't as frenetic as the world that we live in.
And now they've launched it, or they've bought an NFT company. So Yoshi, same question. What remains the large challenges to a career in gaming?
For me, I mean, it's quite different. I come from the marketing agency background, right? But I think the challenge is to keep, like, as I'm kind of echoing Mike and Paul, like, passion too. Like, yes, like I guess we need to be passionate about the new thing or what people are enjoying, or you get lost from the world, right? So I guess like challenge for myself is keep passionate about what's hot in the world. Yep.
Now, something we've never done before, but it's interesting that seeing the three of you talking. If any of you could ask anyone else a question, what would it be? Let's start with you, Yoshi.
Oh, I was gonna. Okay, I should have prepared, right? I wanted to ask, like, that was actually the question I was asking, right? Mike and Paul both of you have this anime collaboration. Mike has like personally shared already, like the Naruto, right? And I think Attack on Titan, right? On Call of Duty, I think.
Yep.
I'd like to hear both, like Mike and Paul, about your story about what's good about having a collaboration in your game with other IP. It doesn't have to be anime. I mean, from me, anime is my interest. But can you share some of your experience?
Yeah.
You want me to go first, Mike?
Yeah, you go first, Paul.
Yeah, well, I can go first from the standpoint that we're a bit newer to the IP collaboration area. I mean, Mike with Epic, they've done a fantastic job of all these different, just a myriad of IPs within Fortnite, and that is something that we obviously have been very, has brought a lot of insight to us, and really kind of showcase the effectiveness of that, and how we can bring combined brands into a universe for fans and players and communities throughout the gaming environment. And so we're pretty new to it. What we decided to do was to look and explore in that, and I think a lot of it comes from the standpoint of digging deep into our player community and player data, and seeing what the cross section would be between demographics on a particular anime title, and how that would resonate not just with our Call of Duty audience within, let's say, one region like North America, but globally, and how it would basically have an overlying effect, because we wouldn't want to get into a partnership with an anime IP brand that was well known in Japan, but nobody else knew about it in the US or in Europe or whatnot. And so it's all about kind of, does that resonate with our player communities throughout the world? And so we've started looking and exploring into that. Attack on Titan, as you mentioned, we announced that is a perfect example of one of the beginning ones. We've done various different other collaborations with other brands through Hollywood studios, and we just recently launched a Snoop Dogg one. So that is something we're looking at getting more into, kind of following on the footsteps of our friends over at Epic. But maybe over to you, Mike.
And that's a very nice segue to Mike McCabe.
Look, we love bringing IP together, and I think it's one of the things that we keep trying to push the boundaries on. And because up and it was obviously way before I joined Epic, Fortnite was bringing together Marvel and DC and Disney IP sports IP and music IP all in one place, and they're all stood next to each other, and having all of those different characters or IP showing up together and interacting with each other was a unique positioning, because certainly in my background, we'd always built a game and it was a Star Wars game, and everything within that was Star Wars. And so the idea of having them all together and just basically having a great social engaging time with friends, and you can show up as whoever you want to be is great. And for us, anime is just so popular at the moment, and we've seen this through so many different sources, whether it be watching viewing habits on Netflix of people watching content, or people buying content around the world. And so when we evaluated, very similar to that process that Paul was describing, we look at different markets and understand, for example, Naruto that you mentioned, how Naruto and those characters work across different markets. And for us, it was a great one to push with as a big initial rollout. And the other thing that was super fun was working with the studios, because we're quite different to what they normally do. And so trying to navigate that and make sure that they're comfortable with the way that we create character and what that character can do, and the sounds and the visuals and everything else, as well as all the marketing materials. And we built a whole Nindo Way kind of Naruto world as well that people could walk around with, and recreated elements from the anime life as well. So yeah, super fun, and one that we spend a lot of time working on what's next, and we're constantly launching new IP, new season at the weekend, and so lots of speculation as to who's going to be in it. And we brought another range of amazing IP in through that one.
Wow. This is where your internet dies, isn't it, Mike? So you can't go on and talk about what's going to be happening at the weekend. But
it was last weekend. It was last weekend. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. I'm getting some sleep again.
And tell us, okay, so what is Naruto, Mike? I mean, save me Googling it.
It's a whole host of IP. One of the most famous Japanese anime IP. So Naruto and a whole host of other characters, and an amazing depth of lore that we can dig into as well, with history there as well. So it just has amazing resonance as a brand and as a grouping of IP, especially in markets that you wouldn't think, like France and Brazil and Mexico. We've seen incredible resonance.
Okay, so we've got a question from the World Wide Web.
Thank you.
Very good friend of ours, Elroy Spoonface Powell. He's a voice guy. Thank you for these great insights. Question: how do we get more involved as a voice agency? His recent credit is Jack Matt Dying Light 2. Do any of you get involved at that level with games, or can offer advice?
Yeah, I don't anymore. I used to when I was running studios, and so that one is definitely a studio question rather than a publishing question. And that was mostly when I was at EA, and we had a whole host of audio effects and voiceover talent that we would use within games. We're definitely lighter users at the moment. We generally only use voiceover now within Fortnite specifically for marketing assets. But the big AAA RPGs they're the amazing ones to be involved with, and be able to get access there. But it's definitely from a studio standpoint.
And a lot of music artists have been getting involved as well. I remember. Yeah. I mean, we've had so many musicians on stage at Music Matters talking about how they're making a serious income from games. So going back to the career side of things, you've talked about what advice you'd give people to get into gaming, about being passionate, about being creative. What advice have you had, or what career advice have you had that you think would be good to pass on to anyone looking for a career in gaming? Maybe Paul first.
Sure. From my standpoint, I think that, you always want to prepare yourself, right? I mean, it's kind of like going back to the kind of old adage of always be hungry and learn as much as possible. I mean, if you're not in the industry now, is to just learn as much about the industry as you can and to get ready for that day that you might have that opportunity. But the other thing I think that is really key is don't just, kind of sit on your butt and try to wait for an open role that might show up on one of the job boards, or if you're searching through some of the websites for the game companies, but maybe reach out to somebody that's in the game industry and seek a mentor. I think that would be something that would be extremely advantageous if you can get somebody that's in the industry to let be a mentor to you, share some advice, even if you're not in the industry at this point in time. That would be what I would recommend.
Fantastic. Yoshi, career advice. What have you been given?
Mine is just not as exciting as the game company guys, but I wasn't prepared. But yes, kind of similar. I think in terms of marketing, I mean, I think gaming companies more exciting for the audience here, I think. But for marketing too, I think we need to keep updating yourself. I mean, like I get older, right? But I learn a lot from my own kids. It's like that, I guess. Like we need to just like refresh ourselves, update ourselves into how people enjoy things. Yes.
Nice answer, Mike.
Ruthless prioritization. There's always too much stuff to do, and so we have to really just focus on the things that are going to be most impactful. And so that is something that is a constant battle, because there's never enough capacity, there's never enough time, there's never enough ability for us to bring all of the ideas to life. So we just have to be laser focused on what is going to drive the biggest impact, aligned with whatever our goal may be. Our goal is, whether it be an engagement goal in that we want to have people stick around and have fun, or if it's an acquisition goal. So yeah, that would be my not super exciting, but truthful.
Hey, that's what it's all about, right? So we've had a question from a gamer called Yummy, because they're watching this live on Twitch. Are there any big leaps forward that 5G is enabling for gaming other than a faster speed? Who wants that? Who wants to go with that one? Paul, is that you? Are you on 5G?
Yeah, well, I could talk about that. I mean, basically for us, I mean, 5G is something that is exciting because it could provide much more robust gaming experiences, particularly, because it's mobile and based, for us, a lot of our game experiences have been very slow to go to mobile because of the fact that we weren't convinced in the past that would provide a great experience, and in the early days, it was very, very simple games. But now, because of 4G, there are great games that people can play on mobile. With 5G, I think that we're still going to be adapting our games to various different platforms because of like 4G and 3G, even because of the fact that that's a broader audience. But as 5G comes along, we'll be looking at that from the standpoint of what type of depth from the gameplay standpoint, greater detail. From the Activision Blizzard perspective, we're a AAA publisher, and so we really look at kind of very complicated, beautiful, elaborate, deep storytelling and narrative within our games. And so 5G is something that we're very, very interested from the standpoint of the future, but not really right now at this point in time.
Is there any other cool tech coming up, Mike or Paul?
I would just say that to add to Paul's answer, I think cloud gaming starts to become more of a reality to a much greater audience with 5G.
Yep.
And so that, I think, is really interesting as well. And we've obviously seen NVIDIA and others come with their own experiences. And that's super exciting. I think that then starts to give us the ability to have those really high definition, deep experiences on wherever we want, which is really exciting. Oh, and I just saw the comment around 3G at the moment. I get 5G in I think in our living room, but nowhere else in our apartment in Singapore. So I absolutely sympathize with you, and I think everybody needs to catch up.
Okay, so final question, because unfortunately we're running out of time. If there's no other questions from the World Wide Web, what's really exciting for all of you? What's up next? What's the most exciting thing about your job? Let's start with Yoshi.
Well, I think my part is get to know a lot of exciting people, I guess. My job is the endless journey of finding where people finds joy, and that just like brought us to this opportunity of meeting you guys. I don't know. It's really for me a fun thing to do. Just just repeating myself, journey for finding what's excitement. There's always a great people just like creating a big joy, like Paul and Mike, right? Jasper, you too, right? Creating events, games, and like I guess like on behalf of like now I'm a father as well, like kids enjoying game, like or like the contents that you guys all create. It's just like in the same time I really feel thankful, right? And then in the same time I as a job, like I learn about how you guys do and then try to create something that's win-win-win. That's my job. So yeah, I mean encountering everything that's new, that's most exciting on this planet, like always encountering with something that's most like exciting on the planet. Yeah, that's something that I really enjoy.
And Yoshi, what's up next for you?
Could be a metaverse, could be it's up to Paul and Mike, like how you guys create, like that's what I'm really curious about, like what you guys do in your meeting room and just like how you make your decision, right? In the futures that we all see. Yeah, so that I'm excited to see how you guys enforce our future.
Okay, so Mike, same question to you, or two questions, I guess. What's exciting you most about your job right now, and then what's up next?
The most exciting bit is, I think, the growth of, or the openness of development from creative user-generated experiences. I think that for me is a game changer, where it always used to be a few people who got to choose and build the games that we all played. There was a few people who were the creative people who did that. Whereas now, I think many companies are arming everybody with the ability to do that, should they wish to. And so that explosion of creativity is something that I think is really exciting in our industry. And it's going to be fun to see how that evolves. And I think the pace of change and development is going to amplify or ramp up over the coming months and years, because more people can do that. And I heard you, Jasper, asking Paul about what his family thought at the beginning. I hope that people see our industry in the same way as they see other forms of entertainment industry. And I think now that is definitely much more of a reality than it was when Paul and I were youngsters. And when I first told them, in fact, my parents are still like, you really do this for a living? And it's still a thing that people are doing. But they're in their 70s and 80s, so they're entitled to hang on to that. But yeah, long answer to a simple question. UGC content is the thing that I'm most excited about in the future.
Fantastic. And Paul, you get the final word.
Oh, I get the final word. Wow.
What's the most exciting thing about your job, and what's up next?
Yeah, so I would say that the most exciting thing about my job is I have the unique opportunity to work on creating opportunities and leveraging our brands. Because, one of the things that we have are these amazing game brands: Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, Warcraft, Candy Crush. And how can we expand the audiences to broader and broader, communities, and expand them into different markets. Those are the things that we're really focused on and what I'm really driving. We have, a lot of players, like I mentioned earlier, but we still have not touched the tip of the iceberg. There's so many people in other parts of the world that we don't really reach through our games. And so we want to do that. We want to enable that and grow those communities. And And then from the standpoint of what's coming up, and the other thing that I'm really fortunate to be a part of is our kind of global team that is looking after kind of what's next, right? And there's all these, I think it's a very, very exciting time for the gaming industry because of the kind of like onset of, you know, decentralization and Web3 and some of the things that you mentioned earlier in the beginning, where we're, as an organization, we're not sure what that means. We don't, it's all kind of vague, right? It's all new. We're definitely not going to be the first and the earliest adopters to this, but it's something that we want to pay attention to. We want to understand and be a part of, you know, what's happening in the play to earn space from gaming standpoint. How is that going to evolve to be able to embrace current player communities, because there is a conflict right now, and we all believe that that could be the future. But how does that, what form does that take? What is that going to be? And that's all kind of exploding at this point in time. Metaverse is a big thing, obviously, you know, with Epic leading the way, but also a lot in the consideration of a lot of other companies. And then the cloud gaming, as Mike had mentioned too, that's something that we're terribly excited about, because it's basically going to enable us to reach players on every screen. And so, yeah, those are the things that, in summary, that I'm terribly excited about.
Fantastic. And of course, you're all excited that All That Matters is back in Singapore, the 26th to 28th of September, during the Singapore F1 Grand Prix week, ladies and gentlemen. Look, this has been an absolutely fascinating chat, and I'm delighted when we run out of time, because it means that we'll be talking a lot. Thank you so much for all this. I've written some notes. We've talked about creativity. We've talked about passion. We talked about how important influencers are. We talked about how gaming connects with the youth. We talked a lot about the metaverse, but we said it's fun to explore, but there's still a lot of work to do and policy required. That we can talk about for the Meta Matters session we're going to be doing later in the series. We talked about anime. We talked about getting a mentor. We talked about keep on updating yourself, which I thought was very interesting. Ruthless promotion of yourself, and looking at user-generated experiences. But I think what was interesting is there still is this credibility gap for the industry, but it's certainly closing, and it's closing really, really fast, right? So with that, thank you so much to Mike and Paul and Yoshi for joining us today and for spending an hour. Now, if you want to meet with these three wonderful, what were formerly black t-shirted folk, they're going to be backstage. If you're watching this on the Gaming Matters Academy site, you just go back to the agenda and click on the Meet the Speakers session, and we'll see you in there, and we can have a chat. It's as easy as that. But thank you so much. Up next for all of our Learning Matters, we're doing a session on research with our friends at Nielsen on Thursday in the Sports Matters Academy called Data Matters. The Gaming Matters Academy will be back in 2 weeks, I think on the 7th of April, for live matters. So we'll be talking about live events and how to produce big live experiences and small live experiences as well. But again, thank you so much for joining, and thank you to our friends, our partners, our sponsors at Twitch, Singtel, and the Global Esports Federation. We'll see you backstage.